over each other. These are the 10 minutes which may have changed the course of the war in Ukraine.
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that. But I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count one.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was-
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about-
gambling with
what do you
World
think
War
about-
III. And
Yeah.
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with all
backed
respect to
you
you.
far more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting, have
today.
you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of
What are you
America
talking about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
I
You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying-
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course,
It's
yes.
going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I
Accept-
said a lot of
accept
times
that
thank
there-
you
accept
to
that-
American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I
over
understand,
there.
sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there.
I'm-
Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're
I
saying
said-
you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you.
I want a
With
ceasefire.
guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
Doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was
wasn't
with
with you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
But this
That
is
was
your-
with,
this
that was
is
with
your president.
Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry,
It's going to
here.
be a tough deal to make,
Um,
because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
what if
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
But they have
Okay?
broken
What if they
ceasefire.
broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
But all-
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia, the 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing.
Well, let's cross to our correspondent, David Blevins, who joins us live from the White House. David, obviously extraordinary pictures there, an extraordinary exchange. Let me just also show you something else, because those pictures have now obviously been seen around the world, and we've seen a lot of support for President Zelenskyy. So on X from a lot of European leaders, and he's been replying to all of them. So from countries like Ireland or Finland, we've also heard from Antonio Costa, the president of the EU Council, Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the EU Commission, Olaf Scholz.
Well, what do you think about that? I mean, oh my God, I was watching it earlier and I thought, oh, because you know what? The thing is, whether people like Trump or not, and I'm not a Trump fan or a Vance fan, but, you know, he's the president of the United States. That is democracy, got voted in. So he's the president of the United States. And the one thing that I was thinking that maybe he might be able to do that I would agree with would be to bring peace. And he's trying to bring peace. But, you know, Zelenskyy, there's so much more to this whole conflict anyway, you know. It's not as cut and dried as people think it is. But I cannot get over that Zelensky's actually gone there and sat in the Oval Office as he got no idea of diplomacy and spoke like that in front of people who've given him America has given Ukraine billions of dollars. Everybody has. And then he said, oh, we've been alone from the beginning. They've never been alone. They've been bailed out. They've been sent money, etc. You know, it's just, and then he was so disrespectful. Now, somebody, I think it was Amethyst, just mentioned Keir Starmer there. Now, whether you like Keir Starmer or you don't like Keir Starmer, off he went to America. You know, he's not a natural supporter of Trump either, but, you know, he's realistic to know, enough to know that whether you like it or not, he is the president of the United States. So, you know, you're not going to go over there and start sort of throwing your weight about with it, you know, just the same as if you went to China, you might not agree with China. This is realpolitik. Anybody who knows anything about politics, if they don't know that, they shouldn't be a politician. It's realpolitik. You have to talk to other countries. And that as well is the only way that peace is ever achieved. And you can be an intermediary, you know, with when countries seem like there's no point of no meeting point that they can, as long as both sides are willing to make compromises, you know, as long as people are willing to make compromises. Look, as far as I'm concerned, the only thing that's important is peace, because the only people who are suffering, of course, are the Ukrainians and the Russians. Don't think the Russians aren't suffering. They're being conscripted as well. People are just disappearing. Young people are disappearing, being just taken into the army and forced to fight whether they want to or not. Russians and Ukrainians, you know, and you know, the whole thing is horrible. So if there's any chance of a peace deal, it's got to be at least talked about. And the other thing you don't do is you don't go to somebody else's country. If he didn't want to go and talk to Donald Trump and he wasn't, you know, he wasn't prepared to talk about peace, he should never have gone. He's whizzed all over the world, when he's got these welcoming committees and being clapped in Parliament and, getting all this money and everything. He's not even had an election. So you couldn't even, when President Trump said he was a dictator, he sort of is at the moment because he's had no elections for ages. What would his people say? What would the Ukrainian people say if there was a vote, I don't know. So, have an election. So off Keir Starmer went. To, and you've got to say, as I say, whether you like Keir Starmer or you don't like Keir Starmer, they were calling him Keir, what was it, Starmer the Charmer. He did it, he knows how to play Trump. And you do have to work with Trump. You can't just say, oh, that's it, we're not working with Trump. He's the president of one of the biggest countries in the world. So, you can't just say that. You just can't do it. And if you think you can, you're wrong. So he went off there with his letter from the king. Oh, he loved that, didn't he, Donald Trump? The Americans, they love the royal family, don't they? And, I'm not a monarchist, but I must admit, when I saw him sort of hand that letter over, and Donald Trump was so thrilled to get the invitation from the king, wasn't he? This sort of one-off, this, first time the king has been... Yes, you can have an election in wartime musical. Yes, you can. You can have an election in wartime. And they should have an election. I know quite a lot of Ukrainian people. I had a Ukrainian student, and I was literally, we were in class the day the war started. Don't think that all Ukrainians support Zelenskyy. A lot of Ukrainians don't. So, you've got to sort of get your head around that as well. The easiest thing to do is have an election. Anyway, so King Charles sent the invitation. He's not going to revoke the invitation, is he? It's just not going to happen. Well, I hope it doesn't happen anyway, because you know what? The last thing that we want is, do we want a world war? Is that what we want? What is the result of this then? So Zelensky's arrived there. I don't think Trump ever wanted him to be there in the first place, did he? It was Macron, all this diplomacy that's gone on all week leading up to this. And Zelenskyy, you can argue him. Right, somebody's shouting at me there. So you're going to shout at me like that. Sorry. I'm going to put you in timeout. When you come back, you can have an election. Anyway, it should be in peace now. It should be in peace talks. I'm going to put you in timeout. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. But you're sort of shouting at me. So I'm not having it. So, why won't Zelenskyy even go to the... Anyway, it's all very complex. And I don't care what anyone says. I don't care about Zelenskyy. I don't like him. I've never liked him right from the beginning. He felt like he was just using all this. He's grandstanding all the time, walking around in his bloody combat gear and everything. And in the meantime, he's not suffered. He's not suffered. He's just going off doing his own thing. All these people are suffering. So I would think, it's surely would want peace. Surely would want peace. Anyway, if you at least sit down and talk about peace. And people have bailed him out. He's had money off all countries, and people at all countries have taken in Ukrainian refugees. They've been given better treatment than normal refugees from wars. There's a war going on in Syria, but the Syrian refugees don't get the same treatment. People have opened up their sort of extra rooms to them, giving them somewhere to live, etc. So I do think people have tried their best for Ukraine. And, whatever you think of Putin or don't think, you have to, go back into this dispute. I would advise anyone to watch Ukraine on Fire, see where this dispute all started. And it's not as simple as it looks. But anyway, whatever it is, it needs to be resolved one way or another. And also, you just do not go to any. So you imagine if, I don't know, so Trump turns up at the palace or whatever, starts arguing with the king. I mean, you know, what you just don't do that. That's not diplomacy. That is not, you know, what you do. And anyway, I, for once, and believe me, I don't normally agree with Trump. Any of you, I can see there's quite a few people on here who don't even normally watch my videos and are on here giving their opinions, which is fine. But if you knew my channel and you knew what I normally have to say about Trump, but I think he's absolutely right here. I think Zelenskyy was wrong. He didn't know how to. There's a way of playing Trump. That's what Keir Starmer did so well. He must be head in his hands now. He's come away yesterday thinking he's done really well, trying to get a trade deal for Britain and this, that, and the other. And now it's all gone up the wall. And now Europe won't know what to do because they want to support Zelenskyy. Of course they do. But they don't want to upset Trump, do they? You know, it's a right mess. It's a right mess. What do you mean the king can argue with the guest? That Zelenskyy was the guest, and he was there, and he. Oh God, I'm not going into this childish thing of who started it, but he wasn't appreciative. Is what he should have gone there. He said thank you for all the help. You know, to turn around there and say he's not had any. You know, he's been alone, and you know, he hasn't been alone. What Trump said to him, in my opinion, was exactly right. Anyway, he was given short shrift. He's been thrown out of the White House, apparently. And I think, you know, I mean, Trump didn't even see him out, did he? It was one of his aides sort of took him out. Then the press conference was cancelled. Oh, and so then he's gone on. So because J.D. Vance said to him, he wasn't appreciative, you know, and he didn't say thank you during that meeting. I mean, it all just went wrong, didn't it? So now he's put on a tweet. He's made a tweet saying, thank you, America, for this. Thank you, America, for that. And that's a sarcastic tweet as well, or an X or whatever you call it now. So, you know, I personally think, you know, for once, I do agree with Donald Trump. I'm sorry, but I do. I'm not sorry. That's how I feel. I don't like Zelenskyy. I don't think Zelenskyy does want peace. Now, maybe it's because the peace that he's going to be offered is not one that he feels that he can accept. But what's his alternative? You know, seriously, what is the alternative? So is that war just going to go on and on and on and on forever? Because Zelenskyy, you know, something's got to give sooner or later. And basically what is being offered, if America can go in as an intermediary at least, it's the same with Putin. Like, people can call Putin whatever they want to call him, but a lot of Russian people think he's great. Do you know what I mean? That's how it is. So, you know, I know a lot of Russian people, I have a lot of Russian students, they think he's great. So, you know, what... You know, we don't know. I don't know, and I haven't lived in Ukraine and I haven't lived in Russia. So, you know, we don't know what the whole circumstances are. But a lot of Russian people do think that Putin is wonderful for Russia, because Putin is all about Russia. You know, and that's why people like Trump, isn't it? Because he's all about America. You know, and a lot of countries are now becoming much more protectionist. It's happening here in Spain. You know, Pedro Sanchez is getting more protectionist, like to protect the Spanish people. I think a lot of countries are going to go that way. So, you know, that's how it feels anyway to me. Yeah, it's a good job. It's a good job that Elon Musk wasn't there. I wonder what he would have said. Maybe he was there in the background, eh? Anyway, so in the meantime, of course, the Pope is ill as well. So really the reason that I'm doing this video is not to argue with people about whether they think Trump is better or Vance is better or Zelenskyy is better, because everyone will have their views about that. But now the Pope's ill again. So the Pope is poorly, isn't he? Really poorly. And he's had a turn for the worse tonight. So I feel like all these prophecies are coming true, you know. There's like the prophecy that the Pope will die, and, you know, there'll be this, you know, people are now really literally, so we've talked about prepping and things like that before. I think, you know, somebody said in chat before about we need to build bunkers. We need to build bunkers. Not that it'll make any, I don't want to build a bunker, actually. I'll just go with it. I hope it all, if it goes, I'd rather just, you know, if there's a war, I'd rather just go like that. I don't want to be hanging on in radioactive Armageddon land. So, but yeah. So this is what Donald Trump, oh, I've got some trolls. I've got some Nicola Bully trolls on. Yeah. 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 There's always going to be trolls. So everyone's, they're not happy with me because I told them a few home truths. They don't like it. So there you go. It's true, I admit. I know politics are never a healthy chat, but I'm not here to talk about politics. So what I want to show you now is what's happened about the Pope. Let's have a look. Now they were saying only yesterday that he was feeling better. Oh, it's coming up here that he's continuing to improve. But if they were just saying on Sky News that he wasn't. Let's have a look. Yeah, he's had a breathing crisis. So let's have a look at the Pope. Bless him. So that's the last thing we want, isn't it? Don't want anything to happen to the Pope. We don't want another big change going on. There's too many big changes going on this year. So apparently the Pope has had an isolated breathing crisis in hospital, and a bronchial spasm caused the 88-year-old to breathe in vomit. Sorry, not very nice. And he was given an oxygen mask on his nose and mouth for the first time as his respiratory condition suddenly worsened. So he's still being treated in hospital for double pneumonia, and an isolated coughing fit, also described as a bronchial spasm, caused the 88-year-old to vomit and forced him to use an oxygen mask on his nose and mouth for the first time, the Vatican said. So we need a few prayers for the Pope, don't we, at the moment? You don't think, well, I hope we don't get, because he's been quite a good Pope, hasn't he, as popes go? Again, I'm not a religious person, but of course a lot of people are, and a lot of people, you know, think, but I think out as popes go, Pope Francis has been a progressive Pope, you know, and he's been probably one of the better popes. So anyway, apparently the Holy Father breathed in some of the vomit, leading to a sudden worsening of his respiratory condition, which is a shame, isn't it? I mean, he'd be being looked after. I mean, one thing, as I've said before, one thing we can be sure of is that Pope Francis will be being very well looked after, won't it? So Francis, who has been in Rome's Gemelli Hospital for a fortnight, was promptly aspirated, the Vatican said, and given non-invasive mechanical ventilation, to which he responded well. He remained conscious and alert at all times, a spokesperson said. But even though he's not intubated, his clinical conditions are a bit worse than yesterday, and the prognosis remains reserved. And it's a shame, really, because, you know, the Pope as well, he's like, he can be a calming influence on things that are going on. It just feels like everything's just going crackers, doesn't it? And, you know, I don't think we can underestimate how serious that is, what that argument that happened between Zelensky and Trump. Because that never happens. Even when people can't agree about things, you know, politicians, etc., you never see them arguing like that, do you, in public? Anyway, so this is what Trump has got to say. So he's made a tweet now. Let's just watch this again. Well, let's all get riled up.
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, you know, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough.
It's so tough.
You're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014
2014.
and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. That people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president, in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me.
I think they did let him. He's just been talking for about 5 minutes. I do think they did let him talk.
That he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this
Have you
conflict.
ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have
And
problems.
do you think that it's
I will
respectful
answer.
to come to the Oval Office
I
of the
will
United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your
A
country?
lot of
Sorry for watching it again. We'll just watch it, carry on watching this to the end. I have enjoyed sort of watching it because it's like, enjoyed's not the right word, but it's fascinating because it's just never, ever happened before. Everybody is absolutely gobsmacked that this has happened, where world leaders are sitting having an open argument on, in the Oval Office in front of all the press and everything. It's unprecedented. It's never happened before.
a lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice oceans and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know that.
bless. You
Don't-
will not
you
have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's exactly
Remember
what
this.
you're
I'm
doing.
not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel
I'm-
very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right
From
about
the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I was
You don't
saying
have the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't. Yeah,
very
you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
Now he's got angry now, President Trump. He has got angry because he doesn't like being challenged. And I think, I bet there's a way to deal with Trump, which I think Keir Starmer did really well, because Keir Starmer didn't give in to him about things. He didn't say to him, it said that they had to stand with Europe and that, but he said it in a more sort of gentle way. Trump's not, and he appealed to his ego by giving him that invitation from the king, isn't it? So, it did work, and I hope it does work for Britain. I hope they get their trade deals, because, and maybe that'll be one good thing about not being part of Europe, because Britain can now say, oh, we're not, they're not going to step away from Zelenskyy. I don't think that for a minute. But, they are that little bit separate now from Europe. So as far as trade is concerned, that probably end up being a good thing. I hope so. I hope that all this happening doesn't mean that all that good work that he did put in with Donald Trump, because they need trade deals with America. Since they've broke with Europe, they didn't they make one trade deal with some tiny little country or whatever, or they've made trade deals with other lesser countries. I think really though it's America that they want to make a trade deal with. America, China, the big countries. That is just the way of the world. The big countries, the big economic powers, they do have the upper hand. Whether it's right or wrong, really, it doesn't matter in the real life of everybody. And, people want to feel sort of better off, don't they, and what have you. And the only way of doing that is to try and make deals and also make agreements with bigger countries, because you have to, as far as security is concerned, Britain couldn't stand on its own. As far as, defending itself is concerned, it will need either Europe, if something happened where Britain got attacked, it would need either Europe or America, wouldn't it? It couldn't stand on its own now. It's not like years ago when it had the empire and everything. So you've got to deal with things as they actually are, haven't you? You do. It doesn't, there's no escaping it. And as a prime minister or a president, you've got to deal with whoever's in charge, and you may not agree with them. And Keir Starmer said that on Friday. He's not on the same political spectrum as Donald Trump, but that doesn't mean to say you can't make deals or whatever. You have to, full stop. Is what you're going to say, oh, that's it, we're never speaking to America again because we don't like Donald Trump. You know, you just can't do that. So I thought he dealt with it really well. So he was a bit of a masterclass in dealing with Trump, and Zelensky's giving us a masterclass in how not to deal with Trump, isn't it? So Trump's got the right hump now, if you know, it rhymes. Trump's got the hump, and that was it then. There was no going back then.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country is
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank-
president, $350 billion.
You
We
voted
gave
for
you
your president.
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it descends into a shouting match, doesn't it? Which it wasn't good from any of them. You know, but the thing is, Donald Trump, he is what he is. You know, and he's getting really the ump now because he likes people to sort of kowtow to him a bit. He cannot take any criticism whatsoever, can he? You know, but then Zelensky should know that at the end of the day, Zelensky needs Trump. Trump doesn't need Zelensky. Again, that's real politics, whichever way you want to look at it. Zelensky's the one that needs the money and arms and things from America. So you don't go to the person that you need something from and talk to them like that, do you? You know, at the end of the day, Trump doesn't need anything from Zelensky. And really, to me, all I'd like to see is peace. You know, so Zelensky, why is he? I'm not sure why Zelensky is being so belligerent. You know, if he had some, because of course he could have dealt with it completely differently and just sort of, you know, sat there, just said, oh, thanks for all your help. And then, of course, he was going to be staying there, wasn't he, for a while? And then behind the scenes, he could have said all the things that he's saying here. But I think part of the reason why Trump and J.D. Vance got so angry and, you know, and in a way, I don't blame them because at the end of the day, he's the one coming to them for help. They're not the ones going to him for help. Was the way he sort of started shouting at them in front of or whoever started it or started disagreeing with him in front of all the American press. So it probably wasn't a good idea to go to a country, go to a president that you need help from. And talk like this, really. Now he's probably annoyed with Donald Trump because Donald Trump has got a good relationship with Putin. And he won't like that because he hates Putin. And you can't blame him for hating Putin. But, you know, you've got to face up to the reality. If you want America on your side and you want their money, you want their arms or whatever it is, maybe he just didn't want to sign that mineral deal.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are
I can
dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a
But I
ceasefire.
said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire
guarantees.
because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter for
me.
you what-
That
what
wasn't
is
with me.
changed. It
That was
wasn't
with
you.
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your-
with,
this
that
is
was with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
what
She's
if
asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal.
See Zelensky's face. Honestly, I think he's high as a kite, personally.
You're in a much better position, but you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television. I will say that.
No.
All right. We'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thanks.
Anyway, so this basically has caused a meltdown, hasn't it, on the media? I've just been watching I think we'll move off it now because I know it, you know, at the end of the day, when you talk about politics, people's emotions run high, don't they? Certainly at the moment. I mean, is it just a social media thing? Or do you think, how can I say it? Do you think, I'm thinking, you know, because I've got a degree in politics. That's why I'm so interested in politics. That's what I studied at university. I don't remember it being quite as how it is now with politics. So tribal now, isn't it? People get very emotional. Do you think that's like to do with social media? I'm trying to think, you know, have people always got so emotional about politics? You know, and there's not much middle ground at the moment, is it? It's either one, you know, it's either black or white, and people don't seem to like meeting in the middle and discussing things in a normal way or whatever. People get really aerated, don't they, about politics? And I'm trying to think, was it like that before? I don't think it was. I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it's always been the same. or maybe it's just social media, etc. Hi, David. Oh, he was definitely, tell you something, Zelenskyy was sniffing all the way through that interview and touching his nose. And I've heard many, many rumours on social media that he is a cokehead. And I would, it's allegedly, but he did seem to be acting odd, because normally he would know how to play someone like Donald Trump, wouldn't he? He's been, for the last few years, he's been going sort of all around the world and meeting world leaders. He must have been like, God, can you imagine him when Trump got elected? He must have been thinking, oh my God. But, you just have to make the best of what you've got to deal with, and if somebody, in a different country gets elected that isn't maybe, your sort of, doesn't have the same leanings of you politically, you've still got to get on with them, especially when you want their money. I think this is what we've got to remember. At the end of the day, it's not, Donald Trump does not need Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy needs Donald Trump. So, that you've got to go into it in a way, haven't you, when, you're wanting something from someone. Anyway, all the European leaders are coming out and saying that they're supporting Zelenskyy. And of course, Donald Trump would say that that's how it, that at the end of the day, Ukraine is nearer to Europe, isn't it, than it is to America. So it does concern Europe more, I suppose. And it is scary, the whole situation. But I don't think for a minute Putin is interested in the rest of Europe. There's something about Ukraine, it's things that go back years. And Ukraine has tried to force, it's like you're not even allowed to speak Russian. Ukrainians speak Russian. Nobody, very few people in Ukraine before all this spoke Ukrainian. In Kiev, they don't speak Ukrainian, they speak Russian because it used to be part of Russia. So, there's a big, that the Ukrainian students I've had, studied English, who lived in Kiev, they told me that, they feel more Russian than Ukrainian, because this is, so it's a very complicated thing, but it's been trying to be extinguished. So like in Ukraine, they've tried to make more of a Ukrainian identity and separate it from the Russian identity. But of course, that's a generational thing. That takes ages. It won't happen overnight. So, I don't know. It's just, Zelenskyy is going to have to make a deal unless he wants to lurch on with war. If America pulls their support, that's not good for Europe, because, if America pulls their support, then Europe have to pay more money, don't they? And then, will Keir Starmer send troops to Ukraine? But he's only supposed to be sending peacekeeping troops. I'm pretty sure that what Keir Starmer said, that if he ever sent the troops to Ukraine, it would be after a deal was made, and it would be to keep the peace. I don't think he's talking about sending troops to Ukraine to actually fight against Russia. I don't think that's what he's been talking about. I think it's a question of sending troops there. Once a deal's been made, this is what he said, wasn't it? Once a deal's been made, he would send troops there to keep the peace. So, I don't know. So let's look at a more cheerful subject. And there is no more. It's not a cheerful subject, but I noticed in the chat earlier, people were asking about Gene Hackman. Now, I watched a Gene Hackman film today. I went on Netflix and one came up, and of course I've forgotten what the name of it was, but it was really good. It was with Dustin Hoffman. Let's have a look if I can find the name of it. Oh, it was a courtroom drama thing. Now, what the hell was the name of that film? Runaway Jury. Right, I'm going to show. So I would definitely recommend this film. It's on Netflix. So it's a brilliant. It's by John Grisham. No wonder it's a good story then. Runaway Jury. So after a workplace shooting in New Orleans, a trial against the gun manufacturer pits lawyer Wendell Raw Dustin Hoffman against shady jury consultant, which is Gene Hackman. He plays a baddie, not a terrible, really bad baddie, but a pretty bad baddie. He always plays a baddie well, I think. And I know some people were saying maybe there's big people who don't know who Gene Hackman is, but he's a brilliant actor, and every film he was ever in was really good. So I would definitely recommend that if you've got Netflix, Runaway Jury, and it's John Cusack as well. So some really, and Rachel Weisz, so some really good actors in it. It was a very good film. And that's what I was doing earlier on before all this. Before hell broke out on Sky News between Donald Trump and Zelenskyy, and then that just sort of, took my attention. So what's the latest news on Gene Hackman? Now, let's have a look. So I think the autopsy report has still not come through. Let's have a look. Oh, let's have a look at this. Oh, I wasn't sharing the tab. Oh, no, I'm not sharing this tab. So there's going to be a press conference. So the sheriff shares grim autopsy details ahead of an afternoon press conference. So for those of you who don't know, this is Gene Hackman. He was a very famous actor back in the day. He is now, or he was, 95 years old. That's his wife, Betsy. She was only in her 60s, and they were found deceased at their home in Santa Fe. Let's have a look at this video, actually, then. Where's the sound?
Along with his wife, Betsy Arakawa, Gene Hackman has been found dead, aged 95, in his Santa Fe home, along with his wife, Betsy Arakawa, 63, and one of their pet dogs. According to a police search warrant, the actor, his wife, and their dog were found in separate rooms. A statement from the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office said, in the early hours of Thursday, February the 27th, 2025, Hackman and Arakawa were transported to the office of the medical investigator. An autopsy was performed. Initial findings noted no external trauma to either individual. Santa Fe County Sheriff Aiden Mendoza initially said that foul play was not suspected, although a search warrant affidavit has since ruled their deaths suspicious enough to require further investigation. Despite earlier speculation, the document adds that there were no obvious signs of a gas leak. The actor's children have since revealed that they will be heading to Santa Fe once the police release more details of their father's death. The actor was one of the best-loved stars in Hollywood, starring in classic films ranging from The French Connection and The Conversation to Superman.
Now, I haven't seen The Conversation. I'd like to see that because I haven't seen that film. That's one of his films that I haven't seen. Okay, let's see. What's the... So, yeah, it was very strange because they were found dead in different rooms. They looked like they'd been dead for quite a long time. There was one of their dogs was also found deceased, sadly, but two other dogs were okay. When they checked to check the gas pipes, etc., because initially they were thinking it might have been carbon monoxide poisoning, there was no evidence of a gas leak or anything like that. So it's a real mystery. Gene Hackman, as I say, he was in like this sort of dressing room type place. They called it a mud room. where, you know, you would go to change your dirty clothes if you'd been walking the dogs or whatever. And he apparently looked as if he had just literally fallen in his tracks. His sunglasses were on the floor. He was still clutching his walking stick. And they said that it looked like he literally had just, you know, fell, you know, dropped to the floor. His wife was in the bathroom. There was an open bottle of tablets beside her. She was lying on her side. And the poor dog was in a closet, whether it was you know, there's been some talk that it may have been crated. And that's why that dog died, whereas the other two dogs were okay. Now, initially they said there was no suspicious circumstances. But then when if you haven't heard it this morning, we went through the search warrant, you know, which gave quite a lot of other details, but they found that there was enough evidence to their deaths were suspicious enough to require further investigation, and they should be investigated, because, you know, the truth needs to come out. We don't want people thinking that maybe, you know, she did something to him or he did something to her, or the, you know. So apparently there was no evidence of a break-in. Nothing had been taken, but the door, one of the doors, because it's a massive house that they lived in, one of the doors was slightly ajar. So let's see then. Somebody was saying there that the forensic report had come in, but I don't know that it has. I'll try and find it. That's 2 hours ago. Oh, God, why they give you a bloody... So, investigators found common medical records in a 2025 planner. So the document showed that police officers recovered thyroid medication, Tylenol and diltiazem, a drug often used to treat high blood pressure or chest pain, from the home outside of Santa Fe. Well, I mean, we'll find out, but I'm starting to sort of go in the thought that maybe Jean had a medical episode, and maybe she was rushing to get his tablets, and maybe she had an accident. Let's see, is there going to be... When's this press conference going to be? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when the press conference is going to be. Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking for the post-mortem results, but we've still only got the initial autopsy results, but I can't see anything that says... I can't see anything that says like the proper autopsy results. The initial autopsy results show no external trauma, so no gunshot wounds, etc. What's this? This is a police. Let's have a look at this. This might be... I'm not...
The search warrant was, you know, we've struggled to release as much information as we can, as we have. There may be a press release that comes out this afternoon. the search warrant was executed just before 10 o'clock p.m. last night. And so they've been working diligently through the night and starting again in the morning to completely process the scene. And so we're still in the preliminary steps of the investigation. There's not a lot of new information that's available, but we will try to include that in our press release this afternoon as soon as the investigators hopefully are finished processing the scene.
Can you confirm if they have been deceased for a long period of time? I was told maybe a week or two.
All I can say is they have been deceased for quite a while. That's a determination that's better suited for OMI and the experts, but it sounds like they had been deceased for a while, and I don't want to take a guess in reference to how long that was.
Who found them? Was it these two maintenance workers, I believe?
So from what I understand, there was a gentleman that was doing some pest control work that had gone to the Hackman residence, and he noticed that they weren't home, which was odd, I guess, as far as he was concerned. He made contact with a security officer that was there, either patrolling or in the subdivision, and then it was a security officer that went to the house and had discovered the individuals in the home.
You guys are ruling out foul play, though.
We're not ruling it out. What I did state was there was no obvious sign or indication of a foul play. There was no immediate sign of foul play. I haven't ruled that out yet. This is an investigation, so we're keeping everything on the table. I think the autopsy is going to tell us a lot, and any evidence that we collect, but I haven't ruled any of that out yet.
Can you talk about the carbon monoxide aspect? I know they tested for that.
Yeah. So obviously it's not I wouldn't say odd, but it's not normal to find two people deceased in a residence. That's concerning. And then there was also a dog that was in a kennel that was also found deceased. We don't know the cause of that, obviously, but on our experience and working on cases like this, that is a possibility. Because of that, we called in the fire department, we called in P&M to go through the house, do some testing to figure out if it was even safe for our officers to go in and process the scene and execute the warrant. They stated that it was safe. I don't have the details of exactly what they located or what they didn't locate. It was determined that it was safe. We had been going in and out of the house. I don't know if that affects, if there was a concentration of any gas, including carbon monoxide. So, that's a good question. That's yet to be determined.
What did it say to you that the front door was open when Mr. Hackman?
Right, I'm swapping over because there's an update going on at the moment.
In the interior of the residence or the exterior of the residence. Investigation personnel worked diligently throughout the night and morning to process the scene for evidence. It should be noted there were no apparent signs of foul play. In the early hours of Thursday, February 27, 2025, Mr. Hackman and Ms. Arakawa were transported to the office of the medical investigator. An autopsy was performed. Initial findings noted no external trauma to either individual. The manner and cause of death has not been determined. The official results of the autopsy and toxicology reports are pending. Just today, I spoke to Dr. Jarrell, the pathologist from the New Mexico Office of the Medical Investigator. This was at 2:00 p.m. today. She advised that there were several tests that were submitted to be expedited. She revealed to me the following information. Both individuals tested negative for carbon monoxide. An initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17, 2025. I was advised that a more thorough investigation will be completed. That'll conclude my statement. I will take a few questions, and just so everybody knows, this is an active investigation still. I'll take questions.
Based on what you know about the conditions of both the bodies, who do you believe died first?
That's a very hard thing to determine. Even with the assistance of OMI, we asked that question because that's a question that we want answered. That's a very hard determination to make, and I don't think even OMI could make that determination based on the initial autopsy. Any other questions?
Were there events scheduled for either member of the couple for the coming weeks?
Again, that'll be part of our investigation. We will look and try to gain access to the cell phones. We'll be analyzing cell phone data, phone calls, text messages, events, photos in the cell phone to try to piece a timeline together. One of the things is in an investigation is we try to piece a timeline together, usually before the event happens, and that gives us a lot of information. But in this case, it seems like we're doing a reverse timeline. We're doing a timeline from the time of death and the autopsy and the results, and we're going to start working our way backwards. We're going to do both, and then hopefully make a determination what may have happened to both the individuals. Sasha. According to the pathologist, I think that is a very good assumption that was his last day of life.
Is there any surveillance video? Why are the pills such important?
I'm sorry?
The pills.
Okay.
The finding of the pills being such important evidence, could that have been part of the cause of death?
Well, of course, they're important evidence. These are things that I think are important for the pathologist and OMI to consider to try to make a determination what the cause and manner of death are. So all that information is collected, not just for us, but we can provide that information to the pathologist and OMI so they can try and make a determination of what the manner and cause is. And I think that's important for OMI also.
Sheriff, was there any surveillance video, and is that helping us determine what may have led up to this?
That's a good question, and that question's been asked. So, I respect the Mr. Hackman's and Ms. Arakawa's regard for privacy. I think everybody here understands that they were very private individuals and a very private family. There is no surveillance as we know of right now in the interior of the residence or the exterior of the residence that is going to help us determine a timeline or events that happened.
Mr. Sheriff, investigators.
Sir. Not at this time. We have them in our possession. Those were collected yesterday. It's going to take a process. We do have software, and we may have to reach out to other agencies for assistance to get past, if they're password protected, to get past the passwords and gain access to that information. So this is some other things that it's going to take a little bit of time.
Sheriff, is there any information on the their names? Maybe on the phone now, so their names have been put on. Do you know any idea as to who was pushing any of their medications?
Yeah, due to HIPAA, I don't want to release who the medication was prescribed to or what the medication is. I think that's I think there's a HIPAA concern there, so I won't release that information. What were they? Yeah, I think I just answered that question. I think I stated I'm not going to release the actual medication or who it was prescribed to due to HIPAA questions. Sir. I think that's a question for the pathologist. It's with that information, I'm assuming that at the time of death that they were negative for carbon monoxide, which means to me that that is possibly ruled out. That's another conversation I think that we will have with the pathologist and OMI to make sure that that's still not indication, but it sounds like that's ruled out. I don't have that information. Again, I didn't personally see the individuals, so there's no indication that there was any stress. There was no indication of any of that I can tell or that I can share, unfortunately. Hey, hold on. Anybody else? I know you've asked the question.
Sheriff, was there any distance any more information about how the dog died?
No. I don't think the space, now that we've ruled out carbon monoxide, unless there's something else that comes back in the toxicology report that we have to look, we're going to look at everything, right? We have photographs, we've documented everything that was close to the body in the room. Then we'll look at that a little closer. But right now, there's no indication that has anything to do with it. No, I don't think there was any indication that again there was no trauma indicated on the body. I'm assuming if they would have fell or injured themselves or head injury or brain injury, that would have been discovered by the pathologist. So I'm going to say that they weren't. That's up to the detective and OMI to work out. I'm gonna take two more questions and then that's gonna be it. Sure. I don't know that information right off the top. Sir.
How long do you think we'll have more concrete answers of what happened?
Again, we're waiting for the autopsy results and the toxicology. The doctor, the pathologist shared that information, which I think some tests were expedited. And so she shared that information with me because she thought it was relevant to the case and important for the public to know. I don't know. I don't know when the cause and the manner will be determined officially, or when the toxicology results come. I'm assuming the pathologist will wait for the toxicology to come back, so that'll help her make her decision on what the cause and manner is. It could be months or 3 months or longer, in my experience. One more question.
When is the last known contact with either?
No, I wasn't really listening to that because there was like this. Oh my God, all the trolleys are out tonight, aren't they? Oh my God, all the Nicola Bully. Well, they're supposed to care about Nicola Bully. They don't care about Nicola Bully. They care about Peter Folding because Nicola Bully's family won't even speak to Peter Folding. So these people are all defending someone who Nicola Bully's family hates. So what exactly, anyway, never mind. I'm going to present that video on the members. I've got all the screenshots. I've got the emails from this nutter. That it's just like, maybe it is Peter. I don't know who it is, but it's somebody who loves him. And there's a few of them that love him. And anyway, I've got all that. I'm going to put it together in a video. And then there's been a few other trolls in that. Why can't people just be nice? Come on, give your opinions. Don't have to be nasty. Don't have to swear. What is wrong with people? But anyway, Friday night. I must do more Friday night lives because you get all these trolleys on, don't you? And of course, you do improve my algorithm, you trolleys. So thank you for that. Coming on, making horrible comments and people responding to your horrible comments. You're helping my channel, don't you? And you'll still be watching in 6 months as well. These trolleys from the Nicola Bully group, they'll always be watching. Anyway, so I've missed a lot of this. So I think we'll go back to the beginning of this because I'm sure they've given out lots of really good information that we've missed. Let's see.
Investigation personnel worked diligently throughout the night and morning to process the scene for evidence. It should be noted there were no apparent signs of foul play. In the early hours of Thursday, February 27, 2025, Mr. Hackman and Ms. Arakawa were transported to the office of the medical investigator. An autopsy was performed. Initial findings noted no external trauma to either individual. The manner and cause of death has not been determined. The official results of the autopsy and toxicology reports are pending. Just today, I spoke to Dr. Jarrell, the pathologist from the New Mexico Office of the Medical Investigator. This was at 2:00 p.m. today. She advised that there were several tests that were submitted to be expedited. She revealed to me the following information. Both individuals tested negative for carbon monoxide. An initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th, 2025. I was advised that a more thorough investigation will be completed. That'll conclude my statement. I will take a few questions and just so everybody knows, this is an active investigation still. I'll take questions.
Didn't he say February the 17th? So we're on the 28th. So that is 11 days ago. Let's just check that again. Didn't he say that? Let's see.
2025.
Hang on.
Monoxide. An initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th, 2025.
So there you go. So on his pacemaker, he had a. Now let's not forget, Mr. Hackman Gene. He is, or he was, 95 years old. So he's had a good long life. So he had a pacemaker, and he's just said the February the 17th. So that's 11 days ago. The last event on his pacemaker was February the 17th. Well, listen one more time.
This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th, 2025. I was advised that a more thorough investigation will be completed. That'll conclude my statement. I will take a few questions, and just so everybody knows, this is an active investigation still. I'll take questions.
Based on what you know about the conditions of both the bodies, who do you believe died first?
That's a very hard thing to determine. Even with the assistance of OMI, we asked that question because that's a question that we want answered. That's a very hard determination to make, and I don't think even OMI could make that determination based on the initial autopsy. Any other questions?
In that 2025 planner that was mentioned in the search warrant return, were there events scheduled for either the couple for the coming weeks?
Yeah.
Again, that'll be part of our investigation. We will look and try to gain access to the cell phones. We'll be analyzing cell phone data.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to say, I know the sound is, I don't think I can make it any higher. Not yet, anyway. It might come up on another, it's a stable volume. Does that make a difference? I don't know if that makes any difference. I don't think I can make it louder. I will look and see if I can find it anywhere else where it might be louder.
Phone calls, text messages, events, photos in the cell phone to try to piece a timeline together. One of the things is in an investigation is we try to piece a timeline together, usually before the event happens, and that gives us a lot of information. But in this case, it seems like we're doing a reverse timeline. We're doing a timeline from the time of death and the autopsy and the results, and we're going to start working our way backwards. We're going to do both, and then hopefully make a determination what may have happened to both the individuals. Sasha. According to the pathologist, I think that is a very good assumption that was his last day of life.
Is there any surveillance video?
Why are the pills such important?
I'm sorry?
The pills.
Okay.
The finding of the pills being such important evidence, that has been part of the cause of death.
Well, of course, they're important evidence. These are things that I think are important for the pathologist and OMI to consider to try to make a determination what the cause and manner of death are. So all that information.
Right, I found this one on Fox News. It might be a bit better, the sound. And it's going right from the beginning, hopefully. It seems to take a lot of setting up. Okay, here we go. That's better. No sound. Right, I'm gonna. Don't know why you can't hear it.
And checked on the residence and observed Mr. Hackman and Miss Arakawa on the ground unresponsive through a window and called 911. Deputies arrived and gained access to the residence where they observed Mrs. Arakawa deceased. They continued the search of their home and located Mr. Hackman in a separate area of the residence, also deceased. A German Shepherd was also found deceased, and 2 other dogs who appeared healthy were located on the property. Deputies then secured the scene and notified the Criminal Investigations Division. Due to the unusual circumstances of 2 decedents in the residence, there was a concern for scene safety. Santa Fe City Fire personnel and the New Mexico Gas Company were requested to the scene to test for carbon monoxide or other foreign elements. The scene was deemed safe, and approximately 9:30 p.m., a search warrant was issued and executed on the residence. Now, collected from the residence, from this search warrant, there were 2 green in color cell phones, 2 bottles of medication, 1 bottle of over-the-counter Tylenol, My Request medical records, and a 2025 monthly planner calendar. Those items were secured from the residence for evidentiary purposes. The Santa Fe Animal Control Division worked with family to ensure the safety of the 2 surviving dogs. Investigation personnel worked diligently throughout the night and morning to process the scene for evidence. It should be noted there were no apparent signs of foul play. In the early hours of Thursday, February 27, 2025, Mr. Hackman and Ms. Arakawa were transported to the office of the medical investigator. An autopsy was performed. Initial findings noted no external trauma to either individual. The manner and cause of death has not been determined. The official results of the autopsy and toxicology reports are pending. Just today, I spoke to Dr. Jarrell, the pathologist from the New Mexico Office of the Medical Investigator. This was at 2:00 p.m. today. She advised that there were several tests that were
Wow. Oh, it's gone off. What happened there? Oh, what happened there? Right, it was working perfectly and then it went off. Oh. Let's see, what was that? It's just gone off. Oh, hang on.
The Santa Fe Animal Control Division worked with family to ensure the safety of the 2 surviving dogs. Investigation personnel worked diligently throughout the night and morning to process the scene for evidence. It should be noted there were no apparent signs of foul play. In the early hours of Thursday, February 27, 2025, Mr. Hackman and Ms. Arakawa were transported to the office of the medical investigator. An autopsy was performed. Initial findings noted no external trauma to either individual. The manner and cause of death has not been determined. The official results of the autopsy and toxicology reports are pending. Just today, I spoke to Dr. Jarrell, the pathologist.
For being here today. I'm Jennifer Labar Tapia. I'm Santa Fe Film Commissioner. Today, Santa Fe.
Right, I've gone over to Sky News with it because they're normally quite reliable with their videos. So let's try again.
And the film industry mourn the loss of 2 extraordinary individuals, Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. Gene was not only a legendary actor whose talent shaped generations of storytelling, but he and Betsy were also longtime residents of our community, deeply woven into the fabric of Santa Fe. His talent is for generations to come with all of his storytelling. Gene's legacy in film is unparalleled, spanning decades of unforgettable performances, including some that are filmed right here in Santa Fe. His work inspired countless artists, actors, and filmmakers, and his impact will continue to be felt for generations to come. But beyond Hollywood, Gene and Betsy were our neighbors who embraced the Santa Fe lifestyle and embraced Santa Fe as their home. Their kindness, generosity, and love for this city made them more than just icons, but they were a part of our family. Our thoughts are with their loved ones and all who knew them and admired them. We join the film industry, their family, their friends, and all the people of Santa Fe in honoring their memory. Thank you.
And now, Santa Fe County Sheriff Adan Mendoza will speak, along with Fire Chief Brian Moya from the Santa Fe County City Fire Department.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sheriff Adan Mendoza, Sheriff for Santa Fe, New Mexico, Santa Fe County. On Wednesday, February 26, 2025, at approximately 1:45 p.m., Santa Fe County Sheriff's deputies were dispatched to 1425 Old Sunset Trail, where Gene Hackman, 95, and his wife Betsy Arakawa, 65, and a dog were found deceased. An individual arrived to perform maintenance on the residence, became concerned after receiving no answer, and contacted neighborhood security to conduct a welfare check. Security then checked on the residence and observed Mr. Hackman and Miss Arakawa on the ground unresponsive through a window and called 911. Deputies arrived and gained access to the residence, where they observed Mrs. Arakawa deceased. They continued the search of their home and located Mr. Hackman in a separate area of the residence, also deceased. A German Shepherd was also found deceased, and 2 other dogs who appeared healthy were located on the property. Deputies then secured the scene and notified the Criminal Investigations Division. Due to the unusual circumstances of 2 decedents in the residence, there was a concern for scene safety. Santa Fe City fire personnel and the New Mexico Gas Company were requested to the scene to test for carbon monoxide or other foreign elements. The scene was deemed safe, and approximately 9:30 p.m., a search warrant was issued and executed on the residence. Now, collected from the residence, from this search warrant, there were 2 green in color cell phones, 2 bottles of medication, 1 bottle of over-the-counter Tylenol, My Request medical records, and a 2025 monthly planner calendar. Those items were secured from the residence for evidentiary purposes. The Santa Fe Animal Control Division worked with family to ensure the safety of the two surviving dogs. Investigation personnel worked diligently throughout the night and morning to process the scene for evidence. It should be noted there were no apparent signs of foul play. In the early hours of Thursday, February 27, 2025, Mr. Hackman and Ms. Arakawa were transported to the office of the medical investigator. An autopsy was performed. Initial findings noted no external trauma to either individual. The manner and cause of death has not been determined. The official results of the autopsy and toxicology reports are pending. Just today, I spoke to Dr. Jarrell, the pathologist from the New Mexico Office of the Medical Investigator. This was at 2:00 p.m. today. She advised that there were several tests that were submitted to be expedited. She revealed to me the following information. Both individuals tested negative for carbon monoxide. An initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th, 2025. I was advised that a more thorough investigation will be completed. That'll conclude my statement. I will take a few questions just so everybody knows, this is an active investigation still. I'll take questions.
Sure. Based on what you know about the conditions of both the bodies, who do you believe died first?
That's a very hard thing to determine. Even with the assistance of OMI, we asked that question because that's a question that we want answered. That's a very hard determination to make, and I don't think even OMI could make that determination based on the initial autopsy. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, in that 2025 planner that was mentioned in the search warrant return, were there events scheduled for either member of the couple for the coming weeks?
Again, that'll be part of our investigation. We will look and try to gain access to the cell phones. We'll be analyzing cell phone data, phone calls, text messages, events, photos in the cell phone to try to piece a timeline together. One of the things is in an investigation is we try to piece a timeline together, usually before the event happens, and that gives us a lot of information. But in this case, it seems like we're doing a reverse timeline. We're doing a timeline from the time of death and the autopsy and the results, and we're going to start working our way backwards. We're going to do both, and then hopefully make a determination what may have happened to both the individuals. Sasha.
When you were saying the last event on the pacemaker was February 17th, would that kind of give you a sign that's probably the day that he died? So they've been dead for about 10 days?
According to the pathologist, I think that is a very good assumption that was his last day of life.
Sheriff, why are the pills such important evidence? And the pills.
Okay.
The finding of the pills being such important evidence, and could that have been part of the cause of death?
Well, of course, they're important evidence. These are things that I think are important for the pathologist and OMI to consider to try to make a determination what the cause and manner of death are. So all that information is collected, not just for us, but we can provide that information to the pathologist and OMI so they can try and make a determination of what the manner and cause is. And I think that's important for OMI also.
Sheriff, was there any surveillance video, and is that helping you to determine what may have led up to this?
That's a good question, and that question's been asked. So, I respect the Mr. Hackman's and Ms. Arakawa's regard for privacy. I think everybody here understands that they were very private individuals and a very private family. There is no surveillance as we know of right now in the interior of the residence or the exterior of the residence that is going to help us determine a timeline or events that happened.
Mr. Sheriff,
Tom Manson with CBS News. Have investigators been able to get into the obtained cell phones?
Not at this time. We have them in our possession. Those were collected yesterday. It's going to take a process. We do have software, and we may have to reach out to other agencies for assistance to get past if they're password protected, to get past the passwords and gain access to that information. So this is some other things that it's going to take a little bit of time. Sheriff,
is there any information on the dog? There are names, Nikhil McCullen from the Albuquerque Journal. There are names on prescription bottles. Do we know any idea as to who was taking any of those medications?
Yeah, due to HIPAA, I don't want to release who the medication was prescribed to or what the medication is. I think that's I think there's a HIPAA concern there, so I won't release that information.
Sure. Do you know the nature of the pills that were found by his wife? What were those pills there?
What were they?
Yeah,
I think I just answered that question. I think I stated I'm not going to release the actual medication or who was prescribed to due to HIPAA.
They were prescription
question.
pills then?
Sir.
Sure. On the carbon monoxide part of it, does that, what the pathologist told you, does that rule out carbon monoxide, or is it possible it kind of dissipated from the body and they just weren't able to find signs of it?
You know, I think that's a question for the pathologist. It's with that information, I'm assuming that at the time of death, that they were negative for carbon monoxide, which means to me that that is possibly ruled out. That's another conversation I think that we will have with the pathologist and OMI to make sure that that's still not indication, but it sounds like that's ruled out.
Were there any signs that Betsy was under any form of distress?
I don't have that information. Again, I didn't personally see you know, the individuals, so there's no indication that there was any stress. There was no indication of any of that I can tell or that I can share, unfortunately.
Has foul play been ruled out?
Hold on. Anybody else? I know you've asked a question.
Sheriff, was there any significance to the space here being located near her head that detailed any more information about how the dog died?
No, I don't think the space, you know, now that we've ruled out carbon monoxide, unless there's something else that comes back in the toxicology report, that we have to look, we're going to look at everything, right? We have photographs, we documented everything that was close to the body in the room. Then we'll look at that a little closer. But right now, there's no indication that has anything to do with
Sheriff, were you able to determine whether they fell or not? Like, was there any trauma evidence on the bodies to suggest a fall?
No, I don't think you know, there was any indication that again, there was no trauma indicated on the body. I'm assuming if they would have fell or you know, injured themselves or a head injury or brain injury, that would have been discovered by the pathologist. So I'm going to say that they were.
Just to follow up, that you saw the sunglasses and the cane on the floor, according to the police reports, that would seem to go against that.
You know, that's up to the detective and OMI to work.
Sheriff,
I'm gonna take two more questions.
On the timeline that you're
That's
talking
gonna be-
about?
Can you say what the space heater was powered by? Was it gas powered or electric powered space heater?
I don't know that information right off.
Do you
off.
believe the dog died of starvation?
Sir.
How long do you think we'll have more concrete answers of what happened?
Again, we're waiting for the autopsy results and the toxicology. The doctor, the pathologist shared that information, which I think some tests were expedited. And so she shared that information with me because she thought it was relevant to the case and important for the public to know. I don't know. I don't know when the cause and the manner will be determined officially, or when the toxicology results come. I'm assuming the pathologist will wait for the toxicology to come back, so that'll help her make her decision on what the cause and manner is. But it could be months or 3 months or longer, in my experience.
Sure.
One more question.
When is the last known contact with either Betsy or Jean?
Again, that's been one of our challenges because of their privacy. So one of the challenges is trying to determine that timeline. I think the event of the pacemaker gives us an idea, but we're gonna sift through the cell phone records. We're gonna go through the planner. We're contacting workers, maintenance workers, family members, security. We're gonna be talking to security. It's a secure subdivision. There's in and out that I believe is documented. So we're working with them to try and determine you know, when the last contact was, and that'll help us put together the timeline. So thank you, everybody. I hope this answered some questions. And again, if we get more information, we will release that. I know there is concern and interest in Mr. Hackman and Mrs. Arakawa, and I just appreciate your patience. Thank you.
So we finally got to hear the police conference. You know, it took a little while to find it, but we found it. Yeah. So I think the pacemaker is interesting, isn't it? So they're saying the last event on the pacemaker was the 17th. That's really more or less the only new information we got from that, wasn't it? Because he was asked about the medication. But they said there, you know, about the medication for blood pressure, etc. But I don't think they really gave any further information than that. But anyway, so yeah, there'll be blood tests made. Honestly, I'm sort of literally, I'm coming round to the thought that maybe Gene Hackman had this sort of event, if you like, maybe had a heart attack. I mean, at the end of the day, at 95 years old, he's got a pacemaker, he's on tablets for blood pressure. It's not unexpected, is it? But did then Betsy run to get his tablets and slip or fall? Tragic accident if that's what happened. But it's a preferable thing to, that she did something to him or he did something to her, isn't it? Or that even, that they suffered in the sense of, someone breaking into the home. It doesn't sound like that. It may well be some sort of tragic sort of double accident, if you like. They maybe know more, probably do. The police always know a little bit more, don't they? And, that's sort of where we are. Anyway, I want to have a look at what Dustin Hoffman, another, brilliant actor. I want to look at what he had to say about Gene Hackman. I suppose it's a sign of age. I was called an old woman who spread misinformation on that Nicola Bully group. That's the nice insult that was thrown at me by another old woman, funnily enough. And, I am old, and you know what? I'm grateful to be old because I'm lucky. I lost my best friend when she was 19 years old in a car accident. She never got any further than that. Lots of people never get any further than that. Every extra day you've got, you should be grateful for. You're growing old gratefully, gracefully, disgracefully. Oh, whichever way you're getting old, at least you're lucky if you're getting old. So I don't find somebody calling me old an insult. It's like, and at the end of the day, someone of 30 seems old to someone of 16 or whatever. So age is all relative, isn't it? Gene Hackman was 95 years old. Now, if I lived as long as him, I've got another 30 odd years to go. I don't know if that's a nice thought or a bad thought. Think what? Another 33 years of this madness. What will be going on then? Will the war still be going on in Ukraine? What will be happening then? Oh my God, will Elon Musk be, own the world? It's like, I don't know if I want to live another 30 years, but I might do. Might not live another 3 days. You just don't know. Nobody knows. But when I look back at like these sort of kind of actors, Dustin Hoffman, even though people might not know about Gene Hackman, because Gene Hackman was a much more understated actor, I think. Dustin Hoffman, maybe because he's carried on a lot more later into his sort of career, because when was the last thing I saw Dustin Hoffman in? Probably Meet the Fockers. Maybe some of you out there know something more recent that Dustin Hoffman has been in, because he's, getting on a bit, bobbing on a little bit now. But he's been acting up to more recently, same as Robert De Niro and those sort of people. Whereas because Gene Hackman gave up acting in 2004, so he's not, it's been 20 years since he's acted. So that's probably why because he then started writing and doing other things. So, that's maybe why some people don't remember him. But Dustin Hoffman remembers him because they went to, hi, Annie. No, actually, Mello, it's not me, it's upstairs. I think it's the dog actually kicking over things in my sunroom, I don't know. But it's actually not me for once. Sorry, I was just having a look through the chat then. Yeah, the Meet the Fockers are brilliant movies, aren't they? Yes, Annie, growing old should not be taken for granted. It's a gift. And lots of us, you know, oh gosh, I'm just, it doesn't matter what we see, like with crimes and things like that. If you look at the Southport incident, you know, that was 3 little girls, you know, who never even got to the age of 10, you know. So yeah, when somebody calls me old, like I was called in the Nicola Bully, an old woman spreading misinformation because I don't like Peter Folding and I think he's all ego, and I don't believe what he said about finding, you know, that to me is not an insult. You know, that is like, I'm lucky. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's have a look what Dustin Hoffman has said about Gene Hackman now. So apparently they went to acting school together. So he's described him as a giant among actors. He brought something unprecedented to our craft, something people didn't immediately understand as genius. And I think it's true. Is that, you know, some actors are very understated, aren't they? You know, they do things, you know, they're not sort of, don't know. So he's not a classically sort of handsome guy. He's like a person, though, with this rugged charm, and he played such varied characters that all had their impact one way or another. Same as Dustin Hoffman. Another one, of course, is Anthony Hopkins. He's another one. He's one of my favourite actors. So Dustin Hoffman paid tribute to Gene Hackman, his former roommate and co-star, following the actor's death at 95. I mean, 95 is a pretty stunning age to get to, isn't it? You know, and he was still driving and he was still walking the dogs and stuff like that. So, you know, he wasn't sort of lying in bed and being looked after by carers. He was still having an active life. In a statement shared with Deadline, Dustin Hoffman recalled his first meeting with Hackman while both were attending acting school in California. I met Gene in acting school at the Pasadena Playhouse when he was 27 and I was 19. So if Dustin Hoffman was 19 and when Gene was 27, now you know I'm not good with maths. So let's work out. So that's 8 years difference, isn't it? 8 years difference. So if Gene Hackman was 95 when he died, then Dustin Hoffman is 87. Is that right? So he's, you know, he's bobbing on a little bit, isn't he? We used to play congas together on the roof, trying to be like our hero, Marlon Brando. And Gene was like Brando in that he brought something unprecedented to our craft, something people didn't immediately understand as genius. He was expelled from our school after 3 months for not having talent. I mean, you can't imagine that now. That's like... what's her name? J.K. Rowling, isn't it? When she went off trying to sell her Harry Potter books, and she was, you know, the first few publishers she spoke to basically told her to get lost and she was no good. Fancy somebody saying to someone like Gene Hackman, you've got no talent. You just can't imagine it, can you? But, you know, that's how difficult, isn't it? You know, that's how difficult it is to get on in the acting world and that, and you have to have a very thick skin. If you want to be an actor, a singer or anything like that, you're going to get a lot of rejections. You know, I suppose that what builds up people's thick skins. You know, you have to have a thick skin, don't you, if you want to be an actor or a singer or anything like that. Okay, let's carry on. He was expelled from our school after 3 months for not having talent. It was the first time they ever did that. He was that good, powerful, subtle, brilliant, a giant amongst actors. I miss him already. Prior to retiring from acting, Hackman co-starred with Hoffman in the 2003 film Runaway Jury, an adaptation of the John Grisham novel of the same name. And that's the film. I watched that earlier today. That's the film I was telling you about. If you were here earlier on, I can see this is going to end up being a really long stream, isn't it? But that's on Netflix. That film. It's a really, really good film. So it's Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman, and John Cusack, and Rachel Weisz. So some really good actors in that film. Very good film. So it marked the pair's first on-screen collaboration, despite their many years of knowing each other, including once being roommates in New York City. Also, they were roommates as well. I slept on his floor because he had this small bedroom, Hoffman said, while doing press for Runaway Jury. He had this little teeny bit larger room where there was a stove with a board over it, where you would use to dry dishes. Next to the stove was a tub, which was also the sink, and it had a board over it. So I would have to take a bath while they were making breakfast. And there was also a toilet next to the bath. And all he's thinking about is that when I had to have my morning bathroom, I didn't care whether they were making eggs or not. And he's held that against me for 40 years. So now you'll hear the dog bark now, and the clinking of the bottles that you heard. Hey, shh! My son's just gone out. So he's gone out, he's taken a load of bottles and whatever, he's probably gone round to his friends and they'll have a drink before they go out so they save money. Hey! They call it, in Spain, they call it botellón. So it's like where you have a drink before you go out so you don't have to spend so much money when you actually go out. So, you know, I've done that a few times. When I was young in Manchester, you take your bottle of vodka with you, wouldn't you, in your handbag, and then buy a Coke or something. Shh. But of course, he's gone out, so she's barking. The Princess Tia is barking because he's gone out, but she'll calm down in a minute. Tia! So he added that the pair almost collaborated on The Graduate, but Hoffman was fired from the film. The first time that we would have worked together would have been The Graduate, Hoffman shared in 2003. Well, Hoffman wasn't fired from the film because he was in the film. Anyway, Gene was cast as Mr. Robinson, and we were in the third week of rehearsal. We rehearsed it for 3 weeks, and it was at Paramount. Gene and I were in the Paramount bathroom, and I think, in my memory, about 6 urinals separate us. And he looks over at me as he's taking a leak, saying, "I'm going to get fired." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "I'm getting fired today. I can feel it." Oh, sorry. Tia! Shh! And he did. And that opened his career up because Warren Beatty said he's not doing it. And he put him in Bonnie and Clyde. So he ended up I haven't seen that. Well, I have seen that film, but I want to watch that again. I want to watch all his films again, and especially the ones I haven't seen before. And that one that I watched today that Dustin Hoffman was in, I'd never seen that before. So he put him in Bonnie and Clyde. And I didn't remember he was in Bonnie and Clyde. That's how understated he is. So he played the brother of Bonnie's sister. He played the husband of Bonnie's sister, apparently, in that. Oh, she's going mad now. She wants to come out of the room. And then it just goes on to talk about, what happened. She's going mad now trying to get out. I'm going to look for that film, David, because I have watched it. I watched it ages ago, but I can't remember much about it. You know, it's quite an old film, isn't it? So it was Warren Beatty. Can you hear that dog trying to get out of the bedroom? Tia! I think I might have to put a video on for you and go and just make sure she's well, she's okay, but so Burton's going to try and stay up till 4 a.m. because that's when his fasting starts. I don't know if I'll make it till 4 a.m. Oh, it's midnight. I'm not normally on stream at this time, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm going to change the subject again, because I think Donald Duck, good old Donald, he's been on talking about this encounter with Zelenskyy, because of course all the American things start now. Oh, let's have a look. What's he saying? So apparently, so following on from what we watched earlier, what Donald has come out and said something. Let's have a look.
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a
No, I
deal.
don't want to watch that again.
You're in no position. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden,
No.
Joe Biden scam.
I want to see what he said just now. So apparently, Donald Trump, I know he's been on talking 45 minutes ago. Trump said, Zelenskyy overplayed his hand. He must say he wants to make peace. So Donald Trump is speaking to reporters before boarding the Marine One at the White House. He says talks with Vladimir, and his name is Vladimir, but they call him Vladimir because they don't want him to be called the same name as Putin, did not work out great from his standpoint. And he added that the Ukrainian president overplayed his hand in talks at the Oval Office. And he adds that the US is looking for peace, not a 10-year war, and insists a ceasefire can take place immediately. I think if you had a ceasefire, it would be a ceasefire, a real one, and that would end it. But Zelenskyy doesn't want to do that. And he says in order to restart talks with the US, he explains Zelenskyy must say he wants to make peace. He wants to come back right now, he says, adding, I can't do that. I mean, this story is going to be all over the papers, isn't it? Now, let me see if I can find that video, because I know there was a video. I just think everyone's got to be interested in this because, this affects all of us, doesn't it? At the end of the day, this is, it affects all countries, it affects the world. I just watched him being interviewed with his big red MAGA hat on, and now I can't find it. Where is it? Let's watch this one while I'm looking for it. So this is Senator Lindsey Graham talking about. Yeah, I can't find what I'm looking for. Oh, this is Zelensky leaving the White House, and Donald Trump doesn't even go out to say goodbye to him, which, to be honest, don't blame him.
Broken down after a tense and combative day at the White House, and a planned news conference for this afternoon has just been canceled, we've learned. A short time ago, President Trump posting on social media saying, in part, I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved. And he goes on to write, he disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky left the White House after meetings with President Trump in an attempt to persuade the administration to continue backing Ukraine's ongoing war with Russia. But in the Oval Office earlier, Zelensky clashed with Mr. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. It was an astonishingly hostile exchange, the pair yelling at him about his, quote, attitude and whether or not he was grateful for U.S. support. Here's some of what truly happened.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You play cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander is with me now. Peter, a stunning turn of events. The whole idea for today.
Hi, Musical. Glad you've come back. But yes, I am medically qualified. Of course I am. I'm a doctor. I mean, why are you asking stupid questions? If you don't want to be here, don't be here. Go and watch another channel. Adios. You know, why are you asking ridiculous questions? You know, just don't watch. If you don't like my channel,
today was for them to sign this agreement that would give U.S. control over mineral rights in exchange for the expenditure in weaponry and else in the war.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let's just take a step back for a moment and talk about what we saw. This was like nothing I have ever seen, anybody's ever seen, in terms of a dramatic moment that played out for the entire American public from inside the Oval Office. There you have Volodymyr Zelensky alongside Donald Trump and the Vice President J.D. Vance, where they are exchanging harsh words for one another. And you think about how quickly this relationship between the United States and Ukraine has devolved. In 2022, when Zelensky came to the U.S., he was greeted by a bipartisan standing ovation that lasted minutes. And then in the course of the last couple of weeks, Donald Trump trying to get a deal. President Trump, among other things, blamed Ukraine for the beginning of the war. Of course, Russia first invaded Ukraine in 2014, then a full-scale invasion in 2022, and then referred to him, Zelensky, as a dictator here. But the bottom line is the takeaway. A White House official, the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, saying, in fact, this was President Trump and J.D. Vance, in their words, standing up for the American people. In his eyes, in their eyes, this is the America First policy being presented before the world. The question is where it leaves the United States, where it leaves Ukraine, where it leaves Europe, and ultimately what message it sends to Russia right now. As you know, having spoken to Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of UK this week, there was an effort first by Emmanuel Macron of France, then by Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, to try to help secure some security guarantees for Ukraine to protect it going forward in case Russia is to try to invade Ukraine in the future. The hope was that today was the first step toward whatever a ceasefire deal would look like, a rare earths mineral deal. It was said to be a 50-50 split. The president says that $350 billion have been spent by the U.S. sent to Ukraine.
Okay, Musical, I'm going to address you because I know you've watched my channel before. If I'd never seen you before, I wouldn't even be addressing what you're saying. So why not have the headline that they are all high? Why single out Zelensky? Because I have that opinion He's sniffing all the time. You can see him in this interview clearly. I can have what headline I want anyway. This is my channel. This is my channel. That's my view. Now, if you don't like my view, that's fine. I have a right to my view, just like you have a right to your view. But this is the last time that I'm going to address it. Now, I timed you out once. I will time you out again if you just keep going on about the same thing. You know, why are you going on and on and on about it? You know, why? Do you know that anyway, I'm giving you too much time here. There's a lot of people watching. There's a lot of people in chat. You know, say your things, but you're addressing them personally to me. This is my YouTube channel, not yours. If you don't like it, go and make your own YouTube channel. Then you can say whatever you like, can't you? That literally is the last time that I am addressing your comments.
The number, in fact, is about $174 billion. Nonetheless, his desire is to get some of that money back. That didn't get signed. Volodymyr Zelenskyy is on his way home, it appears.
All right, Peter, thanks. I want to go to Richard Engel, who has been covering this story for us for many, many months during this war. Richard, let's talk about the reaction perhaps in Moscow, the reaction in the streets of Kyiv. I know this just happened, but what is your anticipation we're going to be hearing?
So I've already been in touch with some people in Kyiv, and they think that this was a disaster. They just watched Volodymyr Zelenskyy, their president, be humiliated by the president of the United States and the vice president. President Zelenskyy went to Washington with the intention of signing this deal. There had been some back and forth with President Zelenskyy saying that he wanted security guarantees. That annoyed the White House. President Trump called him a dictator, but they seem to have gotten past that. And today, President Zelenskyy looked like he was getting what he ultimately wanted, some security guarantee, some economic agreement with the United States. And in the last minute, he was saying, as he continues to call for, he says, in addition to this mineral deal, we need the security guarantees. We need them because we don't trust that Russia will invade again. Then it was J.D. Vance who really escalated this. He started to press in with President Zelenskyy, saying, you've got it wrong. You're contradicting us. You have no right to intervene here. He talked about Zelenskyy carrying out propaganda tours. Zelenskyy didn't back down. And as the two of them, President Zelenskyy and Vance, were arguing, President Trump chimed in, and he had to back his vice president.
All right, Richard Engel, thank you. That concludes this NBC News special report. We'll have much more ahead on what happened here on our streaming network, NBC News Now, online.
Oh, God, it's Troll City tonight. The only reason I've given musical any leeway whatsoever is because they do come on they have been on my channel before. The trolls that have come on that I've never seen before, they were just instantly got rid of. Now, I found the, let's see. Just found. Oh, so this is Trump's latest statement. Now, you know, I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says. I don't like Zelenskyy. I think he was, you know, probably on something. I've never liked him. He's never wanted peace right from the beginning. He's been given billions of pounds, not only by America, but by the whole world. And, you know, to be honest, money that countries can't afford to give. So Britain's given fortunes to Zelenskyy. And in the meantime, people in Britain can't have to choose whether they put food on the table or whether they heat their homes. Why should they give all this money to Ukraine? And it's not appreciative either. America's given billions of pounds and loads of weapons, and I'm sorry, in this one instance, not a Trump supporter. Everybody will know that who watches my channel regularly. It's rare for me to stick up for Donald Trump, but in this case, I think he's right. I think Zelenskyy was mistaken. I think he dealt with it terribly. He needs America. America doesn't need him. And whatever you think of Trump or you don't think of him, Zelensky's going cap in hand to Trump, wanting money off him. He'll want money off him. off America. American people have been giving all this money to Ukraine, billions of dollars, billions. And he was just there like arguing with Trump. You don't do that with someone you want something from. You want something from them. And also sniffing all the way through it. I've heard, this is a common, and it is a rumour, allegedly, he is a cokehead. I don't know if he is for certain, but to me, I think he probably is. And that's an opinion that I'm allowed to have on my own YouTube channel. Anyway, I found the interview, the latest interview from President Trump. But we have to listen to this rubbish advert, unfortunately. Now, one thing you've got to say about Trump, because he's nearly 80 as well, he does keep going. I mean, he's got a lot of energy about him. Maybe he is on something. Maybe that's what keeps him going. I don't know. But to me, tonight in that interview, it was Zelenskyy that looked the more like he was high. But who knows? But one thing again, it doesn't matter whether you like Donald Trump or you don't like him. He is the elected president of the United States. So, you can't get away from that. It doesn't matter if you like Keir Starmer or not. It doesn't matter if you like Macron. It doesn't matter if you like the bloody president of China or you like Putin or not. You've got to deal with the real world. As far as politics are concerned, you have to deal with the real world. Oh, I just realized I wasn't
investing 500. We're going down to Florida. We have a big event tomorrow night. Big MAGA event, Make America Great Again. And it's setting records, and otherwise I'd rather be right now at the White House. But we're doing the big event tomorrow night. We had some big news this week, as you know, because Apple is investing $500 billion. Think of that. And that's going to be a lot. It's going to be a tremendous investment. I guess the biggest investment anybody's ever made in the country at one time. But they're going to be investing a lot of money, $500 billion. We have many other companies that just announced they're coming in. A lot of it's because of how we're doing. We've done a great turnaround in a little more than 30 days, but the country's really doing well, really doing well. We're respected again all over the world. If you look, we had the Japanese Prime Minister. We had the Prime Minister yesterday of UK, as you know. We had the Prime Minister of India. We have another 20 Prime Ministers and Presidents wanting to come. And very good show. I think our country has really turned around. We had a meeting today, as you know, with President Zelenskyy, and I would say it didn't work out exactly great from his standpoint. I think he very much overplayed his hand. We're looking for peace. We're not looking for somebody that's going to sign up a strong power and then not make peace because they feel emboldened, and that's what I saw happening. I'm looking for peace. We're not looking to go into a 10-year war and play games. We want peace. And it was just my impression that if we do that, if we sign up, he's looking for something that I'm not looking for. He's looking to go on and fight. We're looking to end the death. 2,000 people died this week. Soldiers, more than that, but 2,000 approximately people died this week. Young Ukrainians and Russians. And somebody would say, why do you care about Ukraine and Russian soldiers? I care about them. I care about everybody. And we're not doing that. Now, if we don't do anything, he's going to have to make peace, but he's dealing with a very weak set of cards. If we sign, he's dealing with a very strong set of cards, and then he doesn't want to make peace. So that's where we are. It's very simple. I'm not looking to get into anything protracted. I want immediate peace. President Putin is going to want to make, and he wants to make He wants to end it. And you saw what I saw today. This is a man that wants to get us signed up and keep fighting. And we're not doing that, not for this country. So we're setting a lot of records. Economically, we're setting records. And I think every way we're setting records. One of the best is the right track, wrong track. You saw that. We're on the right track for the first time in over 27 years.
Look, listen to, you can see why the Americans want this from Trump, can't you? You know, he talks up America all the time. It's all about America. I think a lot of countries are going that way now, even here in Spain. You know, there's this big, Spain is tied with Europe. And so there's been this big fuss, hasn't there? In all the British press, it's like, oh, you know, Spain punishes Brits and, you know, this, that and the other. What Spain are doing at the moment is they're trying to make it difficult for people outside Europe, not Europeans. Spain is committed to the European Union. But anyone who's not in the European Union, which Britain isn't now, and that's why everyone's whinging about it, if they have a house here in Spain, unless they live in it all year round and they're a resident here, they have to pay extra taxes. And if you look into it, it's actually good for Spain, because what they're saying basically is people who don't live in Spain or Europe can't buy houses here to make money out of, because, you know, a lot of people will buy a house in Spain, rent it out, you know, make money out of it, but then they don't spend that money here in Spain. Hey, they take it off with them to whatever their country is. You know, it could be Africa, it could be Russia, it could be any of those countries. And of course, now Britain is one of those countries that is out. Shh. Tia! Sorry, she's just going mad, the dog, and she's, it's because my son's got out, because he's got out, and she doesn't like being on her own. So where was I? Oh, so yeah. So if you imagine someone buys a house in England, it's the same in Wales as well. They don't like it, isn't it? People buy a holiday home, but they don't live there. That's a home that they're sort of using, that somebody from that area could use. So what's happening in Spain now is a lot of people have bought their houses. A lot of foreign people have bought houses, and whereas before they used to rent them out as long lets, you know, so Spanish people could live in them, now they're letting them out as Airbnbs, and so they're not places, you know, so there's a shortage of housing in Spain. So what Pedro Sanchez is trying to do is make some sort of statement, and the thing is if you're in Europe, if you're a Spanish or European, part of the European Union, you can do it. You can buy a second house, let it out for Airbnb, no extra taxes. But if you're from outside Europe, which of course Britain is now outside Europe, you have to pay extra taxes, because they're trying to stop this happening, because Spanish people are complaining that they haven't got anywhere to rent. Gosh, I'm going to have to sort her out in a minute. I'll have to swap over the dogs or something. But she's not been up there that long. It's only because my son's gone out. Tia! Anyway, she's not listening. She's upstairs. I'm going to have to go and knock on the door. But you see, so a lot of countries are getting more. Maybe it's a good thing. Countries, maybe they should be protectionist. If you think about Britain, maybe British people should look after their own people more, not send their money over to Ukraine or whatever. I mean, you know, as a decent society, I think you have to help other countries. You know, foreign aid is important, because that's what makes us. That's what makes us a good society. So I'm not saying stop it altogether. Oh my God! Right, I'm going to sort that out. I'm going to put this on.
people are impressed with that. The other thing is the feeling about our country. The feeling is great. It's up 48% on feeling on business. And that's the record we've never had. There's never been a record where we've ever gone up that much in such a short period of time. So we're doing really well. And I guess some of you are coming with us. And if you are, I hope you're going to have a good flight. What? He's got to say, I want to make peace. He doesn't have to stand there and say about Putin this, Putin that, all negative things. He's got to say, I want to make peace. I don't want to fight a war any longer. His people are dying. He doesn't have the cards, just so you understand it, okay? I don't have to tell you that. Go ahead. I think you know the answer to it. What? Wait. Look, I don't trust or distrust anybody. I just want to get a deal done. And if the deal happens, good. But you can't embolden somebody that does not have the cards, and all of a sudden that person says, oh, well, now I can keep fighting. We're not going to keep fighting. We're going to get the war done or let them go and see what happens. Let them fight it out. I want anybody that's going to make peace. If he's capable of making peace, which he may or may not be, but I want somebody that's going to make peace. Again, he doesn't have the cards. When we sign up, he's got all of the cards. That doesn't mean he can fight. He's got to stop the fighting, stop the death. He's losing hundreds of thousands of soldiers. It's time to stop the death. Say it. Well, he says he wants it now. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that. They should have an immediate ceasefire. That was the other thing he didn't want to do about ceasefire. A ceasefire could take place immediately. A contract, if you want to end the war, you sign up an agreement. That's going to take a period of time. It takes time. I want it to end immediately. And I think if you had a ceasefire, it would be a ceasefire, a real one, that would end it. But he doesn't want to do that. That's fine. Do a better deal. I want it to end immediately. I want a ceasefire now. He says, oh, I don't want a ceasefire. Well, all of a sudden, he's a big shot because he has the U.S. on his side. Either we're going to end it or let him fight it out. And if he fights it out, it's not going to be pretty. Because without us, he doesn't win. Let me tell you. It doesn't matter what I'm considering. I'm just telling you. You saw what I saw today. That was not a man that wanted to make peace. And I'm only interested if he wants to end the bloodshed. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there you go. Now, oh my God, what a stream tonight. What a stream. So, yeah, it's always, interesting, isn't it, when we're talking about politics? It's like, some people say that Trump is nuts. He is nuts. Of course he's nuts. But is Zelenskyy any less nuts? I don't know. Do you know what? Personally, if I was to say honestly what I think is, they're all bloody nuts. It's like, what's this? Oh, I think Zelensky's on his way to London, isn't he? He's going to London for the weekend. So there's going to be another meeting. I don't know how that's all going to go. But anyway, Starmer's shown his unwavering, apparently he's just said he's expressing unwavering support for Ukraine. So let's hope it all comes out in the wash one way or the other. The one thing I think you can say about President Trump is, he said all this and he says that, I watched something on the news that was saying that what matters with Donald Trump is not so much what he says or it's what he does, because he says a lot of different things. So don't forget, he was there in front of all the press. He's talking to the American people. He's trying to put over what he's trying to put, because he's talking to America, you know. But what he actually does, you know, you just don't know. He's so unpredictable, isn't he? And, you know, yeah, he's not what I would choose for a president, but he is the president, you know. So whether you agree with him, you don't agree with him, unfortunately, we got put up with him for a while. So hopefully something, you know, this will get resolved. It's going to be all over the papers tomorrow. It's going to be massive news. Everybody's scared. I mean, I'm personally scared because I wouldn't like to say, oh, in fact, let's have a look at the newspapers for tomorrow, because there's some interesting headlines. For someone like me who's a bit of a news junkie and likes politics and things like that, it's very intriguing. But it's a little bit terrifying, because we do want peace, don't we? Surely we all want peace. You know, surely there's nobody who doesn't want peace one way or another. You know, people are suffering. That's what, you know, to me, what we shouldn't forget is people are suffering. So they're having a look on Sky News at the, God, you have to go, you have to do it for everything.
us next. Plus, then Russia is going to get all the resources and the minerals which are worth so much money, and that's, you know, taking control over the next 10, 20 years. So you have to be able to push back, and either Europe does that itself, or it somehow manages to just do it without Trump and make him seem the worst thing for any playground bully, which is irrelevant.
But we've been talking about Europe trying to do it on its own for months, since finding out that Donald Trump was going to be president again. Do you think that this time on Sunday we'll actually see steps towards that?
I mean, we might. The problem with Europe is that even when you start to take concrete steps, it takes too long, because it's not a state. You know, it's not a country of its own, and all of the members have very different needs and very different desires. And the other thing is that they all have their own arms manufacturers who are all competing with each other for various different contracts. Whereas in the US, you have a lot of arms manufacturers who are all given preferential treatment by Congress. So actually, even when you get Europe to agree and other NATO members to agree, many of them have to go cap in hand to the US for those weapons. So it's not simply a question of saying, can we all agree on what it is we need to buy? It's then saying, right, who do we buy this stuff from? And of course, it's not just tanks or planes or ships. It's also things like energy. Can we all agree on a common policy to do with this? Because a great deal of the problem when it comes to Ukraine and Russia is an inability of certain European countries to agree where they get their energy from. You've got some deciding, let's go off and...
I just wanted to look at the front pages. I didn't want to hear all this. I'm a bit talked out now about politics. But anyway, there you go. Oh, thank you, Annie. Thank you so much, Annie. That's very kind. Thank you. Do you know what? If I had a coffee now, God, can you believe it? Well, don't forget, we're an hour ahead in Spain, so it's 25 to 1. I'm going to have some crumpets. I've got some crumpets. I'm going to have some crumpets and go to bed. Or I might just sit up and watch all this drama going on. Oh, Zelensky's on Fox News talking. Do you know, this is a never-ending drama, isn't it? It's like, let's see if I can find that. Just as I think, oh, I'm going off to bed, then something else comes up, because, of course, in America, it's daytime now. And there'll be all sorts. I bet I'll end up not going to bed. Yeah, no, I can't find it. Anyway, I think I'm just so tired now, I can't find anything. So, We've looked at Trump arguing with Zelenskyy. We've looked at the latest in the Gene Hackman, very mysterious. In fact, do you know what I think I might do is try and find a Gene Hackman film on Netflix, another one, and sit and watch that. I've always been, if I'm not in bed, I like to go to bed at 9 o'clock sometimes or 10 o'clock. But if I stay up too late, like about now, I could be up all night now. But anyway, yeah. Have you not got any crumpets in? I know, Matthew. He shouldn't be in there. He shouldn't be in there, but he's there. That's the problem with Trump is whether we like him or we don't like him, and of course most of us don't. He's there. So we have to sort of make the best of what it is. And if he can stop some wars, that's a good thing. I'm more worried about Elon Musk than him, I think. Well, he's apparently Elon, good old Elon. He's been making fun of Zelenskyy. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't, he shouldn't be interfering in American politics. Oh, of course, the Tates, Andrew Tate and his brother, they're there now. They'll probably get offered a job or whatever. All those things, I agree. He's not, Trump is not who I would choose to be in the White House, but unfortunately, he is there, So, what's the answer? Do you just ignore him as if he's not there? But we need America, don't we? So it's very difficult, very, very difficult. I'm going to have crumpets. I've got peanut butter as well, so I'm going to put butter on them and peanut butter. I'm quite looking forward to it. Also, the dogs started scratching the door. Oh, God, these dogs. If only they could all just get on. If we could just leave all the dogs together, like we could all be here. It would be great. So I've got my 2 dogs here, but she's upstairs in my son's room because it's her turn to be in the bedroom. But she's not happy because she doesn't want to be in there. She wants to be down here. But I can't let her in here I can't let her down here with the dogs because she doesn't like the other dogs. It's her own fault because she just wants to be the boss of the whole house. Okay, sorry, I'm talking total crap now. I always talk a lot of crap, but I'm talking total crap now because I want my crumpets. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you to those of you who were respectful to each other, even though you have different views. Thank you to all of you who came on and trolled. Yeah, that's it. You can deal better with a Chihuahua, David. I keep expecting her to come bursting through the door because if she could work out a way to get out, there's not many doors she can't. We've had to actually take the door handle off and put a lock on the outside. What you have to go. She is so clever. She can open doors. She can actually pull a bolt. She's done that before, actually nudged a bolt and escaped. But she can't get out at the moment because there's no door handle on the door. That's had to be removed. And there's a lock on the outside of the door. So otherwise, she'd be out. But anyway, you all want crumpets now. Yeah. Oh, Misty, you're still here. So yeah, a lot of you are still here. That's good. Thank you for being here with me. And thank you for being nice to each other. So whenever I do a politics stream, of course, it's contentious. Emotions are high. But it's just, do I just forget politics altogether? But politics intrigue me. I am interested in politics, but sometimes I think I shouldn't do any political videos. Sounds like I've got someone locked up there. That's where I put all the trolls. I lock them up upstairs. Oh, thank you, Mello. That's so kind. Oh, gosh. I don't think the trolls will get it because, if they do, they'll still get banned. But thank you so much, Mello. That's really kind. Thank you. Thank you so much. Who did get it? Let me have a look. Who did get it? So Bree Woodley, who is not a name that I know. So well done, Bree. It's a bloke in handcuffs. Yeah. That's why. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, you're all so kind. I mean, it has been a long stream, I must say, but I've enjoyed it as well. You know, it's not like a job, really. It's like, when I saw this going on with Trump, I thought, I've got to talk about this. I've got to talk about this, you know. It's like, oh, God, I've got to get on the stream. And it's certainly been entertaining. So, yeah, no, I've got my trolls up. That's my trolls in that there making all that banging noise. Can't live. Oh, dear. Anyway, it was an entertaining stream, wasn't it? So, and thank you to Mello. Well, thank you to all of you, of course, for watching, but special thank you to Mello, Kelly, and Danny for helping my channel in that way. God, I'm just talking rubbish now. I don't know how to say goodbye now. It's like, how do I... Anyway, so I'm going. Well, exactly. We don't agree in everything, do we, Kelly? Of course we don't. You know, there's going to be things we don't agree on, but you know what's nice about my core supporters, especially my members, but also anyone who's regularly on my channel, we know we can disagree. We can't, it's impossible to agree about everything, but it doesn't mean you hate someone. You know, you can agree with someone 5 times, can't you? 5 times it's like, yeah, I agree, I agree, I agree. Oh, no, I don't agree, but it doesn't mean, oh, that's it, I hate you, you know. But sometimes people just can't get that into the head. You can't have a different opinion without then someone attacking you, which is what I found in these Nicola Bully groups, or this one particular one. And I tested it out. I made a comment. I never make a comment normally because I'm too scared to make a comment. Because if you disagree with any comment and you know that they're going to just all attack you. And I think I was just fed up with it. I think I just you know, when you get to a point where you just want to leave that behind, and the best thing would be that I never had to look at their comments. And so I made this sort of experimental comment and everything was confirmed. And, you know, because you can't have a different opinion on there, all you can do is, you know, follow one narrative. And if you don't follow that narrative, it's like, you know, F off. So fair enough, I'm effing off. Exactly. Life's too short. It is too short. And you know what? If, you know, I'm sort of, you know, elderly now, I'd probably be considered. I've been through sometimes I just think I've been through so much in my life. And I'm not complaining about it. At least, you know, people have been through worse. But why do these trolls even think that I would even care what they think of me? You know, because I don't even know them. Don't even know them. They're just people who, most of them aren't even, you don't even know they're not even real people. Do you know what I mean? Well, they're obviously real people, but they hide behind fake profiles. So why would I even care what they think? They could be anyone. Anyway. Okay, I'm definitely going this time. Definitely going this time. My name is Governor. I'm definitely going this time. Thank you so much. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Oh, if we don't have World War III, you know, this is what I'm thinking. Are we all going to just get blown up? Get your provisions in. Make sure you've got things in just in case anything happens. All feels a bit dodgy at the moment. And I'll see you really soon in the next video if there is one. And until then, may your God go with you. I love you so much. Thank you. Bye.